Pike County Fiscal Court call to order. Madam Clerk, have a roll call. The members, please.
Judge Rutherford. Magistrate Anderson.
Here.
Magistrate Johnson. Yes. Magistrate Murphy.
Here.
Magistrate Robinson.
Here.
Magistrate Dodson.
Here.
Magistrate Harris.
Here.
We have a quorum. We'll have Pledge of Allegiance now led by Magistrate Murphy, a veteran.
Somebody shot Kenneth Robinson.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's wrong with you over there, Kenneth?
You have in your packet a copy of the minutes for February 4, 2014. I've reviewed those, found them to be correct. If there are no additions or corrections, I'll have a motion, please. Have a motion, Magistrate Murphy. Have a second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson. Yes. Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Due to the weather, we had the Belfry football team to be honored, and after discussion with the principal, it was decided that that would be done at a future meeting, and we will be discussing it with the school personnel and decide when we honor that Pike County school for the state championship. Joe Stanley, you have some people with you. I'd like for you to come around, introduce who you have with you, and give your presentation, and we're anxious to hear what the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. And I'd like to say that the Brashear administration has been very good to Pike County and to the physical courts in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, especially with the FLEX program that's ongoing. We know that they have a problem in regard to the gas tax that the governor's recommended to the legislature, and we hope to be with our legislators later on this week at a meeting in Frankfort. And of course, we're going to be talking to them about to help solve that problem and put a cap on that so that we don't lose about $46 million out of this fund that's projected to be lost in, I believe it's 2016.
Yes.
So we're hopeful, but I want to thank District 12 for the job that you all do. You have an awesome responsibility. We have a double responsibility in Pike County. You have 400 miles of road, we have 800, but you have the main corridors, and you had double roads some places, and we don't. So what a job that you all do in regard to Pike County and looking out for the safety of the safety programs that your department promotes along with the private sector here and governmental bodies each year. But to you, you're always welcome here. I know you feel at home. You spent part of your life here in the same position that Mr. Hatcher has. And we're always glad to have you back because we know that you're knowledgeable and you understand when you look up here at this governmental body of the county and look at this table of what all these people go through. It is a big job to govern this county and to provide the services that people expect and that we have an obligation to provide. But we're glad you're back here today. We look forward every year to you coming back and giving us the news on the two sources of funds that the legislature provides through the Transportation Cabinet that comes to Pike County. And thank you. Thank the head of your all's department, Mrs. Holbrook, and Kevin Dameron. Understand our friend Kevin's retiring
Yes, he
next
is.
month, and we wish him well. all the times. I've been here under many, as you know, many district engineers over the years, and had a great working relationship with the Transportation Cabinet. But so, Joe, we're anxious to hear from you today, and if the magistrate or the county attorney has any questions, you always are able to answer them or get us an answer right back.
Well, we will try.
That goes for your relationship with Hatcher. You all work together, and which is great that you have that relationship that we have here to partner and try to make sure that our roads and bridges are safe, and we depend on you to every bridge over 20 feet. I think you all do the inspections on them, and we as a body are so concerned that those bridges be kept safe. You can bet that Hatcher gives that to his attention every year when he gets your report, and we get on that right quick and bring these bridges up to standards as you all require us to do, as the state statute and really the federal code requires us to do. Joe Stanley.
Thank you, Judge. First of all, most of you know the gentlemen, both of them that's with me today. Paxton Weddington, he was our section supervisor here in Pikeville, in the Pikeville section now, and he recently accepted a job as branch manager that includes Pike, Letcher, and Knott County. So he's been promoted up. He has 3 counties now he oversees. Sean Ray, that's beside him, he has accepted the duties of the section supervisor here in Pikeville. So we've got, ready from the chief. Chief couldn't be here today, but we got the next in line underneath her. What I'm here today for is our annual presentation of the rural secondary program. This is derived from the gas fund tax, and this is money that's allotted for your lower volume roads throughout the county. And this year, the total fund that's allotted is $3,270,235. And with that, we have 162 miles of road. General maintenance comes out of that. And then there's some other administrative costs that come out. After that's taken out, we have just a little over $2 million left for these projects. And out of that fund comes $292,000 is allotted for the flex fund, that's up to the county to use on their routes if they want to use that, or it can be used on a state route, either one. The remaining balance this year is $1,756,024. And we have 9 projects that we have submitted. We'll be submitting to Frankfurt for their approval. One of them is the continuation of the rest of the paving on 881 Brushy. We had already previously submitted half of it, and we're trying to propose to do the other half this year. Lower Pompey Road. The remaining 4 miles on Woodman. Left Fork of Blackberry. The old 194 at Meta. We kind of call it the Meta cut through. Stone Cold, the first 1.25 miles of it. Dry Fork of Shelby, which is from the Shelby Bridge at the old Coleman Oil up to where our maintenance facility is. And then we've got a curve widening project we're proposing on Forest Hills, a little over 0.2 of a mile. It's a very bad curve. It kind of narrows from one end to the other. You go from 2 lanes into that curve on both sides. And then Lower Johns Creek, Kentucky 194, will be some bituminous patching. All these projects are resurfacing projects except for the widening and the patching project on Lower Johns Creek. Also, the projects that were let last year, the contractor did not get to those, and they have till, I think, the end of June this year to complete that. So the ones approved last year will be done this year too.
Any questions?
I gave Rose some company. So that don't go into this funding. That comes out of our regular budget. I know it's bad. Yeah. That'll have to get addressed pretty quick this spring.
Any
Joe,
other question? Make sure your microphone's on.
Joe, the flex funding, it says 292,000 for this, is that for 2013, 2014?
That's for next year. Last year, there was 448,000 in it, so that shows a reduction.
And has all that money been allocated, the flex money for last year?
I don't think so. We don't, that's information that's handled through Frankfurt. I don't know if it's been handled or not.
Okay, so you just know the amounts
I
that,
just know
that
the
are
amounts.
out of the entire rural secondary budget that
Yeah.
are attributed to the flex program. Okay. And last year, 2012, 2013. was
13-14 had 448,000, and 14 and 15's got 292,649.
Okay.
So it's a reduction there.
And is that,
Close to 150,000.
the reduction, is that because of, it couldn't be the reduction in the price of gas?
No, it's just the way that fifth formula that they fix this account out of, that's how it came out.
Hey, Joe, I got a question. Are they working on something, and it may have been relative to what the judge said earlier about reducing the amount of monies, the counties,
That's,
the gas tax?
the gas tax does change. I think is it 15 or 16, isn't it, Judge?
I believe it's 16
Yeah.
is when it really takes the big hit.
Yeah.
Unless the legislature takes action to put a cap on it.
Because I think when we were
And
down,
the legislature, Master Anderson, has taken action before to cap it in past years when this happened.
Right.
Price of gas leveled off and came back down.
because I think they were trying to encourage everybody to call their legislator and make sure we don't get shortchanged.
Yes.
Joe, are you taking care of the flex money roads, the rural secondary that we turn in to
The only thing
state?
our office does, we've got a form we fill out that includes those roads on it, and those go straight to rural roads in Frankfurt.
I know I talked to Rick Long, and he said our money was laying there waiting for us to draw down on it.
Yeah.
And he said need to get a list of the roads that we wanted to have paved and get it to the state and let them go out and make sure they're
Yep.
legitimate.
Yeah.
And Frank, I gave you my list. I don't know if you've got all the rest of them or not. But if we could get them turned in, would it be possible to get that money as soon as the weather clears up? Because our roads are terrible, through the.
What will happen, those lists go to Frankfurt, and they will put that all together, and that'll be led as a contract.
As Magistrate Dotson said, our roads are in trouble shape because of the tough winter we've had. But attended the last meeting and sat through a presentation from Paisley and his staff, and they discussed the flex funding. That is to be done online, completely online, using the state's county maps.
Yep.
And the name that they have on that map.
See,
If you've got a different name on a holler,
The road system the
Use their
state
name.
has with
use their name so they'll know when they approve that.
the state numbers don't match the,
That's right.
What the
And
county
so
numbers are.
On their site, they have a full county map of Ever Creek and Holler. Use their name and use their starting point, not the ending, because we'll have to decide that.
Yeah.
But use their starting point. If it says at an intersection at Joe's Knob and Kill Creek, then that's what you use. And that's where you start. If it's a mouth up, that's where you put it. But they have to have it, all of it to be done online.
Judge, I don't know about the line business, but I know we didn't get our roads fixed last year because we didn't get them turned in. So we need to start working right now or doing whatever we got to do. And Rick Long says it's our obligation to turn that list into Frankfurt. And whoever's going to put it online or whatever, they need to be getting it. I've turned my list in about a month ago.
Hatcher's office will.
Okay, Joe's, what is it for 13, 14, 400-some thousand, you say?
448, 242.
Okay, I've already turned down a rope for that, didn't we, Frank? Yeah, okay.
So Frank, who don't you have the roads for, the flex money for, the 448,000? Do you have everybody's requests?
I think Hillman's was the last one I got.
I turned mine in 2 months ago.
Yeah, I'd already sent it to Frankfurt,
You got all the rest of them?
as far as I know.
81,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got them from you all, then I faxed them right to Mr. Fugit.
Well, what mine was, Joe, was it was a breakdown of the way y'all do your patch paving. You start and stop. We had so many roads that was bad. We just want to try to get the bad places and then maybe do some paving when we get some more money. But they said you would have to go out and look at them, like Rick Long said in Frankfurt.
Yeah, we
and
have to
prove it.
we have to physically drive the road.
Joe, I just want to say that I understand you're thinking about retiring, and you left us about a few years back, and might be able to have another opening for you. You know, they've been a lot of people doing that. They retiring and come back. So that'd make you
I'm
three of
seriously
them.
considering it.
But Paxton and Sean, I just want to say, and Joe, that y'all have got a super state road crew out there doing a good job, because we have had a lot of people call and they give us credit for it, and sometimes they give us a blame for it, but we just have to take credit and blame wherever it falls. But we've got a lot of good calls and good reports on the county and the state working together, getting the roads cleared up in Kentucky. They say they drive over in West Virginia and you can tell the world of difference, or up in Virginia. So I just want to let y'all know you need to tell your men that we appreciate them and what they're doing, and appreciate you guys keeping it going.
Thank you very much.
I want to say a little bit too about Joe. Joe's, I understand you're retiring next week.
Very possibly.
Very possible. Well,
The decision's not made yet.
yeah, one bad day away from
Yeah.
retirement. I understand that, but I
I've
want
seen
to.
from Master Harris, he's got the papers in his hand.
That's
trying to make
right.
his mind up.
Well, I just want to thank you, Joe, personally on a personal level, for everything that you've done for me and for the people in my district since you've been there as long as I've been in office. It's almost 12 years. You've been there, a constant, solid rock in the Department of Transportation. You've done a great job, during floods, general maintenance, dangerous places that we bring to your attention. You always try to help us out. And identifying them and getting us in the right direction, making sure that we know about the money that's available in Frankfurt for us to spend and to improve our roads. And you've been a great employee for the state and a good friend to me. And I just want to thank you and wish you well in your retirement and moving on to greener pastures.
No, thank you very much.
I just want to say the same thing, Joe. You've done a great job and been a friend to the people and the communities, and appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe, so are you going to retire or not retire?
It's 99% yes.
Okay.
No, it's probably going to be a yes.
Joe, I can't figure it out. I've seen you go through 2 retirements, and I don't know how. I've worked with you on both ends.
I know. It's a tough decision. Thank
Joe,
you all.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Next, we have a request for payment, Hawkeye Contracting. And I think you have it, the work we've completed since the last payment period is on the monitor. You can, the magistrates can review it. And then we'll get a recommendation from if you need it, from the engineer and from Hatch. And the amount of that this time was $61,952.17. Is that right, Mr. Newman? Or did I give the right figure on the pay request?
That's correct, Judge.
Could you just give us a little update on how it's going and everything?
There wasn't much work done during this pay period just because of the weather.
Pull your mic down just a little bit so we make sure we can hear you.
There wasn't a whole lot of work done during this period because of the weather. He's kind of on hold at the moment. We've gone through and made a punch list that he's going to need some a little bit of extra work he's going to need to finish up. But mostly beyond that, it's just going to be a little bit of finish grading and seeding and cleanup work. It's this phase is very close to being finished.
And you've had a lot of inclement weather the last few days to
Yeah, we have.
not work every day. Do I have a motion? Motion?
Judge, I'm gonna give the motion, but I want to say too, you know, we've got a meeting tomorrow and everything with Transportation Department. We hope we can come up with more funding to finish this job and everything.
We have a meeting tomorrow at the Transportation Office, Secretary Hancock's office, in regard to Phase 2 of this project, and to make sure that funding is available so that we can go ahead and complete this project, so that those people will not have to travel 42 miles to get medicine for educational purposes or to get to the doctor or food, and they will only have to drive 12 miles. So they've been isolated since 1968, since the dam was constructed. Federal government refused to right the wrong all these years, and we had a governor of the Commonwealth, Governor Beshear, who provided state funding of the first phase of $2 million to make sure that these people had access out and not have to drive around. So again, Governor Beshear has been very good to Pike County government and Pike County people in providing something that the federal government ought to have taken care of on the front end, and either made proper access out of there or bought these people out, which they did not do. So hopefully we can go ahead and complete this project. Hopefully that the money will be there in the state budget in some fashion so that we could go ahead and complete this project. The same people that's gone to the meetings previously, along with the magistrates and Hatcher and everybody that's gone for the 3 meetings that's been held in Frankfort on this project, will be returning back down there tomorrow for a meeting in regard to this road, and also we'll be discussing the state's involvement in the bridge at Burnwell or Sprague, West Virginia, that we kept, the fiscal court kept from closing, because the coal company, for liability reasons, was closing the bridge on the 15th of December. And so the Pike County Fiscal Court intervened to make sure that this structure was open, and with support of the community and the businesses in the Pond Creek area of Pike County and in Williamson, West Virginia. And also the hospital and medical that they had over there, that will also be discussed at that meeting. The meeting, Leo, has been changed and was changed this morning to 1 o'clock, which that is fine with us, because we'll be returning. We have a meeting with the Energy Department, then we'll be returning, and then I have to turn around and go back to the annual county officials and state legislators. At that time, we will deliver what had been referred to as the wish list that our senator and 4 representative has asked for. The magistrates will go and help present it to them, the ones that can't. We have your list, and it will be given to them at that meeting. They had asked, and our top 2 priorities, as you all know, is our debt service and a problem that we have in Shelby Creek Virgie area to resolve will be our top priorities. And then they asked that we look this year, due to lack of funds in the severance tax, due to our coal mining being down so low in production, that we look for small projects to make sure that we cover the county and every section of the county gets some funds from what severance tax we do have. So that is upcoming tomorrow, and as Magistrate Murphy said, that we might add for your information that we have a new state representative that covers that area now, which is Leslie Combs. She is now chairman. So hopefully with that position, the state representative, Hall, that did serve it, was the one that brought the package together of the $2 million. Now he's not in that district with the way it's set out this time, and she assumes that particular area. So we look forward to that meeting tomorrow, Magistrate Murphy.
Did you say, Judge, that we changed the time from 2 to 1 tomorrow? I thought it was a 2 o'clock meeting.
They changed it this morning to 1.
Okay.
So Jeannie she hadn't had time, she's been so busy to get the word out, but she'll get the word out to the rest of them that needs to be present. I'm sure Summit will have Mr. Hill over there. He always attends those meetings over in the Secretary's office, the other 3 that's been held, and I'm sure he'll be there. If Jeannie, I'll tell him to let Mr. Hill know that meeting's at 1 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock. And we hope we'll get a little bit more time, because when the legislature's in session, and the roads is one that takes up a lot of time in the state budget and a lot of money in the state budget and a lot of discussion before the budget gets to the floor. So hopefully we'll get just a little bit more time tomorrow than we was scheduled at 2 o'clock, so that we'll be able to get it. Thank you, Magistrate Murphy, for bringing that up, and we all look forward to this meeting to make sure that we go on with Phase 2. You have anything else, Jonathan, that you want to bring?
Not at this time.
Motion by Magistrate Murphy, have a second by Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge, while you're
Yes.
trying to get some money for this road to be finished, we've got a well-needed and a bad road over on 194 and 632, and be good if you could just let them know down there. We let our representatives and our senator know that we need a little help. We've got people stuck over on that side of the hill too, you know, by the coal trucks and the curves and all that bad stuff we got. We'd like to have a little money if we get it.
Thank you, Magistrate Dodson. I might add that the lower part of this is the Magistrate Robinson District. The other part of this project's in Magistrate Murphy's district. Next we have on the agenda is proposal of amendment to the junkyard ordinance. Let me say, the other day, having a conversation with the Assistant County Attorney, John Doug Hayes, and he was talking about another issue, and he said, well, Judge, what needs to be done, they don't need to be using cash, they need to be using checks. So I started thinking about that in regard to our junkyard ordinance, how advantageous it would be to the law enforcement and the prosecutors, the county attorney and the Commonwealth attorney, if our junkyard ordinance was amended to say that they had to buy all this stolen copper. If they buy it, it goes somewhere. They wouldn't be stealing it if they couldn't sell it somewhere. But then we have let me add this, we have good, honest junkyard operators. Some are not. Most comply with the law. But for those who don't comply with the law, this gives us another tool to prosecute and to stop this. I've talked with Kentucky Power Company, Mr. Shirtliff. Three in their service area have been killed in the last few months in regard to stealing copper. I talked to Mrs. Holbrook at the Transportation Cabinet. Joe and these people know they steal all the tops off of all the drains. Matter of fact, they stole every top off every drain from Jenkins to Pikeville once. 119 was 3 months late in opening because a lot of those are designed, and they stole them all before they opened the road. They went around the barriers and they got them all, and they had to have them special built. I suggested they figure some way out, time down, not make it too easy for them. Talk to the state police. Folks, recently, state police driving up 119. Here is a fellow on the side of the road with one of those tops laying beside of it. They turned around and go back and said, "What are you doing standing here over top of that top?" He said, "I saw it off and I'm going to put it back." Well, that sounded a little bit suspicious, and come to find out it was. So that is the problem. Now the assistant county attorney who's researched this assures me that that part is taken care of in our original ordinance. John Doug Hayes, assistant county attorney.
Judge, this is an ordinance of the Fiscal Court of Pike County, Kentucky, amending the Pike County Junkyard Ordinance number 12.02.08.007 to add a requirement that every retail transaction by a licensee be paid by bank check or draft drawn on licensee's account. Section .07, records of transactions, daily, daily reports to police. Adding a new section C, which is as follows: every retail transaction by licensee shall be paid by bank check or draft drawn on licensee's account. Said check or draft shall reflect on its face the seller's name as required in section .07, paren, capital A, close paren 2, close paren, and the retail transaction number as required in section .07, paren, capital B, close paren. The rest of the section, Judge, simply needs to be relettered. The sections, relettering former section C to D and former section D to E, and that is the first reading of the ordinance.
I'll ask for the questions first. The magistrates have any questions?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion, we amend it, but also, I don't know if you know it or not, but people are going by and cutting the guardrail steel that they put in to do the roads. They go every other one, and they're cutting the railroad steel off. You guys, I don't know if y'all have missed any or not, and taking it to the junkyard and selling it. So, you know, we're going to have a problem down the road, Frank, if we don't stop it.
Mr. County Attorney, I think you said that our present ordinance covers the heavy metal, cars, trucks, rails, all.
It does, Judge. Scrap metal in that present ordinance is defined as follows. Scrap metal means any scrap article or material composed of iron, steel, or non-ferrous metal or metal alloy, including but not limited to copper, brass, bronze, aluminum, or stainless steel. Now, if Magistrate Dotson would feel more comfortable, we can specifically set out guardrail steel in there. But
John, I thought it was already in the junkyard ordinance about railroad steel, and that's what this is. It's railroad steel that's driven down into the ground by a pile driver or a drill. They're cutting it off and taking like every other joint and leaving us with some problems.
I don't think you're supposed to buy that railroad steel.
It
They ain't supposed to, I don't believe, according to the ordinance, but I have seen trucks haul it to the junkyard.
There is no specific section of this ordinance, I don't believe, that specifically sets forth railroad steel. I don't recall seeing that in there. Now, cars have a special section. You've got to have a certificate of title when you sell a car.
Truck the same way.
And truck, same way. That's section 08, additional requirements for motor vehicles and parts, and so on and so forth. But I can amend that. To do that, I'll have to bring that back when we get it amended. What we could do, Master Dawson, what I might suggest is let's go ahead and consider this as the first reading for this amendment, and then we won't vote on it till the next time.
We've had the first reading of the ordinance, and we'll have to vote on it when it comes back
Yes, it's first
before the
reading.
body.
Yes.
So the correction, not correction, but addition, explanation by the county attorney's office will be added to this, and it will be brought back, and.
Yes, Judge, the amendment will simply be to specifically set out railroad steel as an excluded article of purchase. Is that, thank you.
So Jenny, make sure this second reading gets on the agenda, and we'll move on. Next, we have the awarding of bids. Mr. Stacy, we don't have any bids to award today. Next is the magistrate's road work. Motion Magistrate Anderson, have a second Magistrate Robinson, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson.
Yes.
Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford. Judge,
Yes.
did you want the tire thing? Did you want the tire thing?
Next, we have on the monitor, and the clerk also reminded me, we all remember the TAR amnesty program. That was a program about 4 or 5 years ago that Pike County Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky partnered, and they brought the TAR amnesty program here. That was when we got 85,000 TARs. That was back before Wall Street fell and before EPA declared war on the coal industry. And a lot of our coal companies, of course, hauled their TARs in. And if I remember, I was talking to Bobby Mullins about it, the same state agency that brought the TARs here, then the same arm of the same agency come and cited us because the TARs were not covered and requested that we build a building to keep them in until they was picked up. Well, I called the secretary up to the top and said, Mr. Secretary, you all brought this program to Pike County. Great program. We picked up thousands of TARs. Now you've cited us because you said it's raining on the TARs and it's running in Johns Creek. Now they want to fine us, but they want us to build a building and put it in. I said, what about letting us put tarps over them, and so that we can cover them, and that'll keep the rainwater from the TARs, and then it can run on Johns Creek and not have all the toxic you say is in it. The secretary said, sounds good to me. I said, well, you got to take care of your employees. Tell them to take care of the citation, and I will move to get them covered immediately. So, Bobby, that's what we did back then. We covered them with tarpaulins and made sure the wind couldn't blow them off. And I'm sure we'll get a vista when we have this program. But Dan, if you move on, we'll give the dates of that program, because also, do you have the dates on here? Well, we have to have the dates. That's the purpose. Bobby, do you have the dates with you?
March the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Now, magistrates, you need to remember those dates. That is the date that there will be no cost. The state takes care of the cost of all TARs. And I talked to Commissioner Mullins about the fact that we've always picked them up at the lots, at the solid waste lots out in the county, where people could bring them to there. But I don't expect 85,000 because of since the coal industry is at low ebb now in production. But there are a lot of TARs out there. We got to keep them out of these streams and from our roadways, and what an opportunity this is also for the general public to understand and save the taxpayers' money. We pay out thousands of dollars every year to 2 different companies to pick these TARs up. That comes through our landfill. we definitely don't want them in the landfill to take up the space, but we're not allowed under the guidelines to put them in the landfill to begin with. But we don't want them in there. We want to extend this landfill for as many years as we can extend it. So this is what was called the Tar Amnesty Program. They changed the name of it. And I don't know what is the proper name of it they got on that this year.
This year it's called the Waste Tar Collection Event.
Okay. So, but that's
Where
what
will
it
they
is.
have to haul them to?
But
Johns
we want
Creek
We
or?
want the people out there, and we appreciate again Pike TV, and we appreciate Mr. Cassidy and the paper assisting us in getting the word out there that this is a great program to get the blight that goes up on it, and for economic development purposes, for anything you're talking about, and to keep our streams and our roadways clean, and our private property lots clean, our county garage lots cleaned of old tars. What an opportunity this is.
Yeah, my question is, where do they have to haul them to? Where will they have to haul them?
We're going to be storing some of the staging area, be over at Johns Creek at the maintenance garage lot back in there. That's going to be our main staging area. But like Judge says, if they bring them into your lot, I can send a boom truck or something up there to get them and bring them on down.
Commissioner Mullins, give the number of your office, so if somebody calls, as Magistrate Murphy was asking, where they call to for information.
Call 432-6245.
432-6245.
Judge, have you ever thought about trying to get some grant money or trying to implement some kind of a crumb rubber deal, Bob, where we could grind these tars up and sell them and might cause a few more jobs? And
we filed an application a few years ago, and of course with the national budget and the state budget the way it is, there was no funding. And Bobby, I think of what we've got coming down is not listed again this year as something you can fall for. If I'm correct, when I looked what had come across my desk, on the list they had this year what you could have fought for, and they're not a lot of money like they used to be before Wall Street fell, and then we had all the problems. I think that the Bashir administration has had 10 cuts and over $1 billion and some dollars cuts out of the state budget in the 7 years they've been there. So, but we did file an application, Magistrate Dotson, at one time for this piece of equipment, but did not receive funding for it at that time.
I know in that meeting, I guess
Keep looking.
I guess you attended it too, Judge, with the down there the other day, and they were talking about such a good markup, how much they were making by selling this crumb rubber for playground the playground parks, and they were melting it down and using it on the roads, and you know we could probably put a lot of people to work if we had something like that.
Also, United States Congress passed an act where that I think it's 10% of that can be used in the makeup of blacktops at blacktop plants in the country, that it's eligible to be used by those companies like Mountain Enterprise and others that provides blacktop.
Judge, if I could comment on that just for a moment. In our training the other day, they was saying that automobile tires, that they cannot use it like in playground and for that purpose because of the wire that's in it, and the only material that they use like that is like for farm or agricultural tars, like comes on farm tractors that doesn't have the wires in it, or four-wheeler tars and things of that nature. The regular automobile tars, they can't use it in playground equipment or nothing.
Thank you for that information.
Yeah.
Next we have, Dan, what do we have coming up next on this? From the TARs. Is that it? What about code reds or the weather? Let's talk about the weather. Folks, there's some pictures of the roads that we've gone through the last few days. Oh, I know, and what a job that our road crews and our foremen did out there. I was looking for the sheet, Jeannie, that you provided me this morning. I got it here somewhere. In regard to the amount of money being spent, I believe it was $201,000 that had been spent on salt. And what a burden that is on our county road budgets, because we know that when we got in the budget because of the severance tax being down, that $100,000 were taken off out of the Magistrates Road Fund, and that's where this money comes from. Is right there. It comes out of these accounts, and we have, and so we just hope, Joe, we get a break, and I'm sure you all do too. That we get a break in the weather, and this is one of the worst winters that I've had of all my time that I've been here all these years. And the sub-zero weather that we had. But we have survived it. We have great employees. We have enough equipment, and we've been blessed to have enough salt to get the job done. So what an opportunity.
Judge, Judge, before you start on something else, I'd like to say that I want to congratulate my road crew and all the county workers, the garage, you garbage people. They've had some terrible times, and we have been cussed out and criticized for pushing snow in people's driveways, but I'd like to apologize to the people and let them know that snow was so heavy and so deep that we had to get it off the road. It had to go one way or the other, and I want them to know that we wouldn't deliberately block their driveways, but we got to clear the roads, and I guess Frank's got a lot of calls over that, and you have in your office, but I was out there with the boys, and I know that snow was so heavy that we had every one of our trucks stuck one time or other that day in the ditch or somewhere that we had to get assistance to pull them out. And I think they done an extra good job. You know, we had the roads, all of them, we went over them one time that day. And I had another question. I don't know about Stone Cold. Are you taking care of that, Leo, or is it done fell over into our area? I forgot to find out. Now, how long will it be, Judge, before, will it be after the primary or after the fall election to where District 5 will have to start taking care of Stone Cold? At the first of next year?
It'll be, yeah, Hillman, it'll be when, after the next election. Now, you'll be, per se, campaigning in those areas, but for maintenance department, Ron will be taking care of it.
Well, it's hard to ask people to vote for you if you can't do nothing to help them. That's what I was wanting to know, you know.
My understanding is you won't take it over till after the election's over of next year.
Correct. Mr. County Attorney, is that?
I checked on it, Frank, on that, because I've been losing one precinct, and I called Frankfurt on it. And it don't come into effect until January the 1st, that's what they told me.
Right, that's exactly.
I might not have to worry about it. We just have to wait and see.
That's what they told me now.
They vote though, in May. Yeah, they vote in May though.
Vote in May.
Yeah, I mean, mine usually will. Stone Cold won't be a voting in mine now, but we're still taking care of it.
I didn't know how it was going to work, but we've took a little piece ever since I've been elected 6 terms ago. I started out over at Meade House, and now I'm over here at 23 on the Stone Cold. They just keep adding. Yeah, I look, we'll be down to Floyd County next.
Dan, do you have on here the Emergency Operations Center? It's the one we didn't do the last court meeting. If you've got it on here, pull it up. Or you can start with NRCS and we'll come to that one. The NRCS, you all aware of that program, an ongoing program that Jeannie handles out of the judge's office. This is a house on Coon Creek that solid waste just tore down and removed. You'll see as the pictures indicate. Also on this coming up, you'll see another family that was in the office recently, and the check there was delivered to that family. That's the Robinson family. And of course, they will be getting that house down in the near future. And I think that's the house. Jeannie, is this the house on the one that we just signed in the office? Yeah, that is that house, and you look at it, and that's the buyout, moving these people out of the floodplain. We might add for that and talk about the floodplain just a little bit. Under new legislation passed by Congress, NRCS has been funded, and I wrote Jenny a memo over the weekend to set a meeting up with the local office, Mr. Sloan and his staff, so that we'll get started, because we're hopeful that we have $7 million now. It's going to take years to get these thousands out of the floodplain, but we have an opportunity to get more funding and to keep this going each year until, as the years go by, get these people moved out of the floodplain. We have a great opportunity to do that. We got some good news today. We finally got we didn't get all the property we wanted, but we got the property for parking for the Hatfield-McCoy Park. Judge Hayes, would you address that, please? You worked hard on it as deputy judge, and now you've ended up with the deed in your hands as assistant county attorney.
Judge, I do have the deed. I've reviewed the deed. Legally speaking, the deed is in proper form. It was prepared by the attorney, Rusty Davis, for Raw Coal Sales and Processing Company. It has a plat for reference to the property to be conveyed to Pike County. That plat is now being shown on the monitor. Judge, I haven't laid it off with a ruler or anything, but it looks like about 580 feet road frontage there on Highway 1056, directly across from the park. And that will be great for parking purposes. And I know that Magistrate Dodson and Magistrate Harris are very much thrilled by the fact that we're getting that. As Magistrate Dodson and I spoke earlier, it wasn't what we asked for, Judge, and that we worked for. We actually wanted some more property. Magistrate Dodson to be used for trail and trailhead purposes. But you know, you never look a gift horse in the mouth, Judge, and we're certainly not going to look this one in the mouth. We'll just consider it one by the apple and go back hat in hand and beg for some more for that purpose, Magistrate Dodson.
That's
Thank
correct.
you, Judge, and John Doe. Judge, I think it would be appropriate if you could set up some kind of a dedication or something from this company. They've been so good to us about giving us this property.
Jeannie, we'll do that as soon as this weather's opened. You need to get with Magistrate Dodson, and we need to set up something over there. We need to also let Alpha Natural Resources know that they are a good community partner, and we appreciate that, and the people of the county appreciate that. Mike Blackburn has tried his best, as Hillman knows, to relay to their offices in Abington and the Bristol area of what's going on in Pike County in the way of housing and the need for property, and what's going on in regard to ATV trails, and what's going on at the Hatfield-McCoy Park, especially, and the need for parking for that park. This is across the road from the amphitheater. across the road from the viewing stand that's gonna be built in the future. We're working on that, so that'll be an addition to that park. This park, it's talk about being used. It is a used park, and and it's been a success. And I can remember back when we had the dedication on the housing at Tug Fork, which is down the road about a mile. And Hillman got me in his truck, and I thought he was going to get us stuck. He pulled out in the bottom with weeds above your knees, and but we made it. And he said, if we can plan right, and the money becomes available, then we can build a park that people will be proud of, and it won't take long to get the park in. Well, that came to fruition. And what a nice park that Hatfield and McCoy has for that section of the county. We have other great parks in the county. You can't beat Long Fork. Just go right on and on around the county. Grants Branch, great park, and all of ours are absolutely beautiful. That's what bothers me when you have to read in these state newspapers, the Courier Journal, Lexington paper, talking about this court wasting the money and others wasting money, when the coal miners in these particular areas are the one that mine the daggone coal and the driller drilled the gas, natural gas, and that's where the money comes from, to put some back in the communities so their children and grandchildren can have something that we didn't have when we growed up. As we all know, it was a struggle to find a place to even play basketball back when school was not in the evenings. So this is, we appreciate it. As the Mr. County Attorney said, we're going to go back and we're going to ask for property on up to the railroad crossing and call it Phase 2, and ask Alpha Natural Resources to understand how this can be developed, and a campground can be there, and people can come in and camp, and especially at the time the amphitheater is in, the Hatfield and McCoy, that it is presented. So what an opportunity we got. But as Mr. County Attorney said, yeah, we certainly appreciate what we got on this round, but we'll be going back to this coal company and asking for more property. Mr. County Attorney.
Judge, you will need the authorization of the court to execute on behalf of the Pike County Fiscal Court the deed of conveyance dated the 13th day of February 2014 by and between Raw Coal Sales and Processing Company and the Pike County Fiscal Court. And of course, this is $1 cash in hand paid. You can pay that, Judge.
A subsidiary of Alpha Natural Resources. Motion by Magistrate Dotson.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, Judge, and Mike Blackburn is the one that pushed all this through, so we need to include him in.
Do I have a second? Second by Magistrate Anderson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson?
Yes.
Magistrate Dotson? Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Ruthford?
Yes. We had, what else we got on the, do we have anything else on our list, Dan, on our, a code red? Folks, we have talked a little bit about this program on code red. Doug Tackett is here with us today, and he'll be available to answer questions in regard to code red, but I want to tell you a little bit about what I know about Code Red and what improvement this is going to be from the other system that we have. Matter of fact, Code Red is America's #1 emergency notification system. They are number one. More governments, county and city, have Code Red than any other one. That was attractive to Doug Tackett when he recommended to this court that we cancel the other one that we had because they wasn't meeting their responsibility to the people of this county, because it is not we're going to have another flood, it's when, if it's when we're going to have another flood. I'll repeat this again. The study that FEMA did in latter part of last year, from 1953 up to 2013, end of 2013 or to those months, showed that Pike County, Kentucky was the third most flood-prone area in the United States of America. And that's on Doug's wall, if anybody wants it, or Doug can give you a copy of it. But this is, Code Red has been in business since 1998, and what they do, they're web-based. There's nothing they have to install for us at all. There's no hardware, no software. All we had to do was to get this court's permission and hire them, and you can notified by email, text message, cell phones, RSS feeds, digital signal, by telephones, whatever we got, a mobile alert app, whatever it is, they use it to get to people. But the attractive thing to this, and the magistrates and the people need to know this, and Doug Tackett will be glad to show it to you. Right on his monitor, he can go in and circle an area. We got to remember in 09 and 10, we had back-to-back floods, and they were not river floods. That is the only two floods we've had from the heavy downpour called cloudburst that we had in Coon Creek, and then the next one, Hardison Creek. What he can do now, when we do that, they don't have to call everybody in the county. What they do, he goes in and takes the flooded area and dots it right out on his computer. And he'll be glad to sit with you and show you. Then that goes to that area. All the information that's needed goes to that area from Code Red. We've already tested this. The magistrates know this. The last snowfall we had, he tested it and gave you all and Hatch the weather forecast before we had the big downpour of snow. That system does that. All he has to do, it's in the computer, is hit it, it goes. It goes to other places. It goes to Mrs. Falls, down to the transportation cabinet. It'll go to the school system. It's already set up to go to the school system. So they will know what's coming, what is projected to come, and that's all it is a projection. So, Doug, if I've missed anything, what a great system that this court, and with your recommendation, has put in place. Covers Pikeville, as you know, covers all the three cities. The relationship we have with Pikeville and their emergency management, which is one of Doug's assistants that this court approves the appointment of at the beginning of every term. And what a job that they do in the city, and Doug assists them, and they take care of the spills and so forth in the city. So this is weather warning or any warning in regard to hazmat of spills and into our streams and all of it. It is a great asset, a great tool for us to use for the people, and we have that responsibility to get information to the people, and it saves lives. Doug Tackett.
Judge, tomorrow, the Code Red system, one of the things they do for us is do an all-call countywide to let people know about the system and that they can sign up and check their information and submit current phone numbers and their cell numbers and things like that and tell them how to do it. And that call will be going out about 1 o'clock tomorrow. It'll be going countywide. It'll let people know how to sign up to visit the websites, or they can call our office if they don't have web access, and we can sign them into the system.
Well, it's a great system, and magistrates, I had the opportunity to go and sit the other day and to let Doug go through the system with me, and it's just a great. Code Red is the system that we needed, And I'm glad that you brought it before the attention of the court, and now you have that tool for our people.
That'll be a great tool.
In
It
our,
does,
in our emergency management and what we call the war room.
Yeah, it does automated weather warnings as well, and those will go out in severe weather.
Will a grant take care of this, Judge? We get a grant to put this in, or what?
We didn't need a grant because you don't have to put anything in, it's all by wire.
Yeah,
But you have
and
to pay per year.
We have.
And we had the money in the budget to pay the other one, so we just,
Yeah.
used that money to change over to this one.
We used a partnership between the city and the University of Pikeville and Pikeville Medical Center. They use the system as well in the university and the hospital too.
To answer Magistrate Johnson's questions, the city participates in,
Yes.
in the paying the bill,
Yeah.
and the University of Pikeville participates
Yes.
in paying the bill. And then we had the other money already in the budget.
Right.
Okay. Next, we had the opening of the Emergency Operations Center. We have one of the most modern centers in Kentucky. I'm sure the magistrates had been over and viewed this center. I had the opportunity to start out at Boone Center in Frankfort and then to visit others downstate. And there are none I was in. And I can say this to you. Boone Center, of course, that covers the whole state. So that is a model that's 10 times bigger than this. But this takes us out of those small offices on the 4th floor. It takes them out of the conference room, which we call the war room when we had a disaster. And you know, when we had the governor in there at the last disaster and everybody else involved, they were standing down the hallway. They call it the war room, and I called it the sweat box because it got awful hot that day. But now we have one of the most modern systems. Everybody that participates in this has a computer. They have a telephone besides their cell phone. Once we go into this center when we have a disaster, everything will be taken care of besides health, where people's living, everything. Red Cross, same day. Red Cross was there to this. They took part in this. They're next door to it. They are a first responder. The fire departments, Doug is our coordinator with fire departments. We had their representation, their people there, sitting there. We had some volunteers there out of Pond Creek that volunteers with the Red Cross when we have a disaster that has assisted in the past. We have a counseling system for people who have lost everything that comes through this war room at the time of a disaster. So that this is where FEMA comes to for their presentations with the magistrates in the future, and where we have the meeting with all federal agencies during that time of a flood, and it helps us to be better organized. I said that Doug had an office just that you couldn't whip a cat in. I don't know, it was about 16 by 16, his little office was, with that big monitor on his desk. Now you can see the monitor. There are two more monitors that you can't see on this. We have Doppler radar, and we're blessed to have that. It's on most of the commissioners' and staff's desk, and they can pull it up at any time in this courthouse. So, we had a good attendance over there that day. Doug, I think you did a good job of letting the people of Pike County know that when we had another disaster that we are ready. Our people are so resilient, and I know Jeannie feels the same way, and I know Mr. Kaiser feels the same way when we got this money to move people out of the floodplain. Hillman, I know that some over in your district had been through, that was the 5th flood. And here FEMA was giving them $29,999 to clean their house up and move back in the floodplain. And I can remember going to Washington several years ago, testifying before Congress with County Attorney Herbert Deskins Jr., and asking FEMA to not do that, to make money available and move these people out and get them out of the floodplain. So now we have this facility, and we have that program going, moving people out of the floodplain. And we're just blessed that we have, that we was able to put this facility in. And it open anytime it's open. It's on the fourth floor of the courthouse annex, the old Justice Building. Go in, visit it. The magistrates, I know that some of the magistrates has been up there, that Magistrate Murphy was there for that event that day, and it is a great operation and a great tool to have for our people. Tri-state excursion. Charles Carlton, I want to commend you for pulling this thing together, and all the work that's been done by not only you, but by Dan and others on the staff that have worked hard to make this tri-state excursion on April 12th and 13th. And I'll add 19th. What happened, they sold the tickets they had, they sold them out. And they had oversold. They even sold one car that the railroad was bringing their retired employees in. So they set the following weekend up for one trip. And that was on the 19th, that's the day before Easter. Folks, as the others sold out in 72 hours, this one is sold out. So, Mr. Carlton, how many we got now? That 4,000 people already have reservations. And that means that we have an opportunity for this to be an ongoing thing for years and years and years. Hopefully, we will get the CSX, who's been very uncooperative, to let us use, since the coal freight is down, to let us use the rail from Ashland to Elkhorn City and put that excursion over here also. For tourism and economic development, it's very important that we do things like this and think out of the box and try to bring money in here at a time when our coal business is down. But Mr. Carlton, thank you, and for all the work everybody's done. And I know you couldn't have done it without Jeannie, Dan, and at that time Judge Hayes, for all the meetings that's been held, all the trips that have been made, coordinating. There's a meeting in the room with people from Grundy, Williamson, and other places, coordinating this to make it a reality and to make it work. And the city manager, the fellow next to me there is the city manager of Grundy, Mr. Keene. And we had the lady over as manager of the hotel in Williamson. We had people from the Chambers of Commerce. We had our local Chamber of Commerce representative, the little lady to my left here, sitting to the monitor, which would be to your right as you look at the big monitor. So what this committee has done, and what an asset that this will be to Pike County tourism, Pikeville tourism. This will fill up, we believe, and the reason putting this on here today is letting the people know, because we cover Mingo County, we cover other areas. If they want to come, we have a package for the hotels, all of them in Pikeville, a very reasonable rate that you can come and stay overnight, because buses will take you to Grundy, to the Walmart, or you can drive. But it'd take you to Grundy that's a tourist attraction in itself, Mr. Carlton. It is a 3-story Walmart with 1,000 parking garage. But that's where you will board. Hillman, I think you wanted to make a statement.
Judge, would it be possible we could get the tourism committee together with the Hatfield McCoys and give out some pamphlets
Hatfield
and literature
McCoys,
that day up there to
Hatfield
promote it?
McCoys will be on the train. There will be 5 of them, of those people who did the monologues for us here in the courtroom. They will be on that train, am I correct? Walking through the cars. They already have permission from the Railroad Society and from Norfolk Southern to do that, Magistrate Dodson? And they will have a food car on there also. Now,
The pamphlet.
County Attorney, you have been very active in this, and you probably have more information than I'm giving out.
No, Judge, I have. By the way, I've got 2 tickets. May scalp them there, but I'm looking forward to that. Being from a railroad family, as you know, my dad retired from the CNO, and my grandfather retired with over 50 years service, and I love trains, and I look forward to it. I think what Magistrate Dodson was concerned about, and certainly he can speak for himself, he's more capable than I, is will there be people from our tourism organizations handing out pamphlets on the Hatfield-McCoy and the events, the park there, the open-air theater. It's a great time to get that story out.
They will be a mail-out that we have reviewed, Mr. Carlton, that will be mailed by the Railroad Society to every person who has purchased a ticket. And on that pamphlet is a very large faux pamphlet, will be just exactly what they're talking about, promoting Hatfield and McCoy and promoting Pike County. Mr. Carlton, am I correct in that? It will be an email. That'll be fine. Everybody put their email that had one on it, and that will be probably 2/3 of them anyway.
Judge, the ones that don't have the emails, what I was trying to say is, would it be possible for us to have some people there to give them pamphlets showing the times and shows that we're going to do? I've had conversation with Chris Coleman the other day, and they're putting together a program for their summer shows over on the Hatfield McCoys, and it would be good. You know, it might be the same weekend that they could plan one, that they could give this out, and the people would be a short drive down to watch the show.
Mr. Carlton, the Pike County Tourism and Convention Bureau has said that they will mail out, if need to everybody that don't get the email, if I now remember. Am I correct on that? Can you get an address, or can that society?
We have no way of getting an address. Only if people purchase with a credit card will we have an address.
Is that because of also the Privacy Act? That was a problem.
Judge, what I'm talking about.
They will be people. Matter of fact, tourism is part of this. Pike County Tourism is on the committee and attended the meetings, and they will have people on this train who can hand out whatever needs to be.
I'm trying to get across, I'm having an awful hard time, Judge. What I'm talking about, if they're standing there when the people get in line to give them a pamphlet.
Pike County Tourism personnel will be on this trip, and they can and will be promoting Hatfield and McCoy, and they have, it's not a special brochure, it's their regular brochure that they brought and showed us that they will be handing out. Okay. Now, what else, Dan, do we have? UK business challenges. Now, this is for the coal miners and the coal miners' family that's out of work. I talked recently to 2 coal miners who didn't want to move, who did not want to move to Alabama or Western Kentucky. They had been to the job fairs and had talked about opening up a business. Well, University of Pikeville, and I think Mr. Roberts heads that department. It is the Coleman, what is the proper title? Coleman College of Business. They've got $9,000 that they're going to provide for seed monies for startup businesses. They have a $5,000, $2,500, $1,500,000, and so forth. Comes to $9,000. And a business plan has to be submitted, and then they have a committee that chooses them. What an opportunity it is for out-of-work coal miner that is planning to put in a business, to enter this and get that seed money so that they can get started. So If they need more information, it's 218-5250, and you can get information there at, Dan, that is at UPike, at UPike's offices. And they need to get their business plan done, and they need to get it submitted. We had another one, and here's one that can help the families of these unemployed coal miners, which are about, we look at about 1,300 coal miners that made $85,000 a year that makes nothing today, zero. Coal mining, the signature job in the Commonwealth, and EPA has killed us in eastern Kentucky and West Virginia. But this is the park's job fair. Breaks Interstate Park. They hire for and that's when they bring people in, and you see what they hire. They have the rangers, they have the service, hostess, cooks, housekeepers, the whole deal. They're maintenance people, all are hard each year. So what an opportunity it is for out-of-work coal miners to go in. That number is 276-865-4113. If you have a coal miner who the Congress didn't extend the unemployment for, then they have no income today. What an opportunity it is for the woman of the household or a child to get a job at the breaks so that they can survive and have food and maybe pay their light bill. We had one more, and I'm going to talk about it, and I mentioned it to Joe and the people from the Transportation Cabinet and to Mr. Ray, is the Transportation Cabinet Civil Engineering is offering engineering tech student scholarships, and it's the time of the year that you apply. And what an opportunity. How many children of coal miners who had plans to send their children to college and get them an engineering degree, and now that they're out there with no hope. They have the breadwinner, the family, the father has no job, no income. So this is an opportunity, and Mr. Ray, who's with us today, is a product of this very thing, a scholarship he received, and he's back here. Joe told you what he's assigned to do with that department now, contributing to the community, involved. So what an opportunity it is for that. They have a website set up that transportation, small caps, Kentucky.gov, education pages, civil engineering. So you can go right online. You can get it, or you can call Sherry at 502-782-4792. That's if you have a child who wants to become a civil engineer. Scholarships are now being offered. Those are being offered to attend the University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, Western Kentucky, and the Kentucky State University. So if you have a child and you're wondering if you want him to send him on to college and to not have that worry that you have today of paying a car payment or paying saving your home or having food or pay the light bill, that can be taken off of your shoulders, and they can apply for these engineering scholarships. Dan, thank you for making that available today, and what a great opportunity it is. We also want people to know that we have here in the courthouse again this year of tax preparation, and that's free downstairs in the basement of the courthouse. If you can't afford to hire somebody to do it, then that's where you need to come to, because we're providing a office down there as we did last year. I don't know where they got it this year, but it's down in the basement. There'll be signs put next to the elevators. People comes in, and make sure, Jeannie, that we do that we put signs guiding people to the basement and where they can find the people for free tax preparation. Next, we have good news again. Now, Big Sandy Community Action Agency that we provide a place for is the courthouse annex on Ferguson's Creek. We pay their utilities. They're here to take care of people that needs help. They got more money. Congress has turned loose of more money. That comes to the state, it comes to community action, and they're now taking applications again. When Mr. County Attorney was Judge Hayes, we had a lengthy conversation with Mr. Howe, the top fellow of Big Sandy Community Action. Carl's aware of this. We talked to her. She listened to it on home when she was recuperating from her wreck and so forth. But it amazed me, and it was real sad to see half a mile long in sub-zero weather, requirements set by community action to sign up to get LIHEAP help on your utility bill. Had these people out in the open backed up Ferguson's Creek. And I made it plain to Mr. Howe that what a job they do taking care of people, but that this fell through the crack for them. They was herding these people like cattle. People on walkers were telling them that they ought to went to their homes and on crutches to sign people up. Judge Hayes and I at that time told Mr. Howe, look, we'll get the Blue Goose for you in town. We'll get the college gym for you. We'll get you a place in town you can bring these people inside and not in it. It was sub-zero. It was not sub-zero weather. 13 degrees that day. And heck, that's cold to me to put these blessed people out that needs help on the utility bill on outside weather like that. I asked Carl that he put that on the agenda at the next meeting that board discuss this situation they've got. And if they got it in other counties, they need to take care of it too. To not put these people out in the weather by telling them you have to be here on this date, this time, and sign up in person. So hopefully, Mr. County Attorney, that our conversation that few days ago, that they will do that, and Carl, you represent this body on that board. And I know their yearly meetings come up. I wrote Jenny a letter and said I always like to go to the yearly meeting. If she can arrange for me to be at that meeting, I will have that conversation again with Mr. Howe to make him understand that our people up here at every place should not be treated like that. So, but that program is open, and Dan, if you go back, I'll call 432-2775 for more information, and that is the Big Sandy Community Action Program, the LIHEAP program that helps people with their bills. And folks, I'll put it this way, the Lord knows they need help because of this cold weather they got and the size of the bills that I've looked at the last few days. But we're blessed to have this program. We're blessed to have Congress make more money available. Pike County Cooperative Student Agent, they asked that we put this on for them, and we do that. We do it also. They are a quasi-governmental agency. I'm on that board by virtue of the office I hold. The next, Dan, thank you for that one. The next, we always like to remind people that through our solid waste department and our pride program that Jimmy Dale heads, to keep Pike County clean. We admonish you again. If you're going to keep dumping and making these new garbage dumps in this county, you're going to get caught. And the court system and the county attorney who's sitting right here, the last time Mr. Hall backed me up and said that they will be fully prosecuted. We are going to clean this county up and keep it clean. It's important that we do that. These illegal dumps, like the one down under Magistrate Robinson on the Millard Bridge, we found the other day hid down there, like the others, the one that we found at the top of the mountain for the airport. You go into Johns Creek on the right where they started dumping again. We're going to catch them, and we're going to stop this. And we want to say that we have 2 cleanups a year, that the county and the solid waste program and Pride partnerships in with our businesses. The one in the spring is paint up, clean up, fix up, and we'll be having that. I don't know where it's set yet or not, but there'll be plenty of advertisement on that. And I know that we know this works. We know that when we drove to Blackberry, and I know when Governor Patton came over and he was introduced, he said, I said to Judy driving over, the solid waste program of Pike County has worked because it's the cleanest I've seen this county. But to do that, Pride has to do its part, and they do their part, and we've got to do our part in county government here. So, so next we have the Artist Collaborative Theater. We try to assist them to let people know what's going on at Elkhorn City, where this body has guided $1 million to over the past years as money become available through coal severance tax. Scholar House application, and Jeannie, I've got here, I think we have 19 in the facility. We will have 23 by the end of the month. Mr. Brown, the construction company and the financer of the project presently, said he's satisfied with the intake. They are working with the YMCA in regard to making sure as they phase this in that they financially can operate the child care facility and the learning facility. And we was at a meeting yesterday, Mr. County Attorney Hayes and myself and others on that board was at the meeting yesterday, and Carl was at a funeral. Jeannie was getting back from out of town, but we had a good meeting and a good discussion in regard to that facility. And anybody that's not toured the Scholar House, it is HOPE, H-O-P-E, for young people who is a single parent, man or woman, young man or young girl, to get a college education at no cost, bachelor's degree, at a community college up here or University of Pikeville. Those 19 and up to 23 will be enrolled at no cost. The child care center will keep their children, and the Scholar House, if you've not visited it, I had an opportunity, others had an opportunity. Magistrate Harris had an opportunity, and he visited the Scholar House in Louisville. All of the committee, every one of them have been to the Scholar House in Louisville. What an opportunity to partner with the city of Pikeville, with the university, and no use to go into it how we got this, but it came through Dr. Ramsey to Governor Patton saying you need one of these in Pikeville. Very few of them around the country, very few in Kentucky. Now we have something that wasn't on my agenda, but they tell me that we may need to get permission for me to sign for the waste tar program. I need a motion for me to fix my signature and get it back to the state. Is that what we need? So we need permission to execute all related documents. Do I have a motion?
Judge,
do you have anything?
the motion will be to participate in the 2014 Kentucky Waste Tire Management Program and to give you permission to execute all related documents.
Motion, Magistrate Robinson. Do I have a second? Have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson.
Yes.
Magistrate Dodson. Magistrate Harris. Judge Rutherford. Judge, we need the orders of affiliation. Judge. We need orders for Doug.
Next to Doug Tackett. We have to have every year orders of affiliation.
Yeah. with our rescue squads, and we have 5 that affiliate with emergency management. And that's the Pike County Technical Rescue, East Kentucky Trackers, Lookout Fire and Rescue, Kemper Fire and Rescue, and Shelby Creek Rescue Squad.
Would you provide those to the Madam Clerk so she would make sure to get all those listed? So she'll, if you haven't, give her the list.
Yes.
So she can list them and make sure that they're in the meeting, in the minutes of the meeting. And it's important that we do this. I know for Judge Pruitt, we did that the last meeting, even for him. The things that he had to get permission to get done under the same name that the state this is. If there are no questions on this, I'll ask for a motion. Does everybody have to sign this the way they did them, or just take my signature?
Your signature and mine.
My signature does, so it'd give us permission to affix our signatures to, as required by the Kentucky Revised Statute and the guidelines as drawn up by the Emergency Management in Frankfurt.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dotson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
She can't hear much better.
I have a copy here somewhere.
Oh, I've got them.
You got one?
I've dug it.
Okay. Next, we have magistrate comments. Magistrate Anderson.
I had a question for Doug. Is there any snow in the immediate forecast?
Not in the immediate forecast, no. There's possibility of rain and thunderstorms Thursday evening.
Judge, just one quick thing. I was going to save all my accolades for the road crew and magistrate comments, and they do. I've had a lot of people that have complimented the state as well as the county workers, and I you know, oftentimes they don't get the credit they deserve, but they have done a tremendous job. I was out the night the big snow hit about midnight, and my wife, my little boy, were out in front of the old Mullen School. We were out there for about 30 minutes, and we saw some headlights coming around the curve at Huntington Steel, and my wife said, well, who would be out in this weather? And it was the road crew, you know, it was a state road crew.
Yeah.
But they do a great job, and they don't always get the credit they deserve. But I'm real proud of what they do, what the county does, and hopefully we won't have to repeat that this year.
And we
I want to hold you to that too, Doug.
Magistrate Doug and I had a conversation about the thawing out, which looks like it's going to happen, and just pray that that our rocks don't come off the hill and kill somebody. You know, we had a death about 2 weeks ago when we had 70-degree weathers, and the rock just came off the hill, fell driving up the road and was killed. So we just need to just pray that the Lord will keep those rocks up there, or some way that to keep them drivers out of harm's way because of our mountainous terrain. And I know that, the fellow passed away this past year, and that was a fellow who was a school teacher over at Belfry. Chris knew him over at Big Creek. Was in a wheelchair. Was named principal of Feds Creek High School, driving to work, and they had a thaw. Rock come off and hit his car, and he was in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down until he passed away. He was Forrest Stanley's, I believe, Forrest Stanley's brother, son-in-law. Benny Tackett. Benny Tackett.
That's all I have, Judge.
Magistrate Johnson, you have any comment?
Judge, I just want to thank my work hands. I didn't even have to call about by George or talk about anything. Greg White had them boys out there fighting it. They fought it all night long one night. Next day I said, boys, better take it easy a little bit. Before I know it, about an hour and a half later, they're back on again. They've done a good job up there. But now some people think you can get there fast, but now when you got that snow and that ice and everything, and it was a tough snow to do anything with, you know, because thing with plows on the front. If you go along and that snow on top, and then there's a little rock under there, when you hit that blade, so you got something broke down, you have to go back to the garage. That's a lot of the problems, but they done a good job, and I just hope people satisfied with it. Some called me and said they wouldn't, but now they're calling back and telling me better, so it's all over with. So they done a good job.
Good job, Mr. Murphy.
Yeah, this has been probably the worst 3 weeks in a many year for the weather and our state crews and our county crews to take care of. And like I say, they've worked. And it's so deep, when they say it's going to happen along the Virginia border, I get covered up, 12 to 14 inches, and our trucks are trying to push it, and he'll push them in the ditch line. So we've had a rough time, and I appreciate every one of them and the people's patience too.
Mr. Robinson.
I've got a request here for a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit to be put on Adams Branch Road.
Madam Clerk,
And
I'll pass to you and make that part of the record
got
of
a
this
donation
process.
here, $50 for Greasy Creek Community Park.
Make both of them part of the record, Madam Clerk.
And I want to thank all my workers for a good job they done during that snow.
Mr. Dodson.
Judge, I've got a road to turn in here. It's for KBC Mine Road. That's the one we talked about a few months ago. And they've got it signed, and I've talked to Frank about it, and deed book, page number, it's over at Phelps.
Madam Clerk, make it part of the record, and Hatch will make the investigation and report back.
And Judge, I'd like to say that we have got an awful good maintenance crew at that garage. You know, when you go in there and you see 8 or 10 salt trucks lined up and they're working on them, everybody broke down at the same time, and they've got patience, and I think they've done real well about getting our trucks back on the road and getting them repaired. And the truck we bought last week that Frank drove back, they were able to get a blade and a solder put in it just in time for the big snow, and we used it, and it's a really a good truck. And just want to thank everybody that had a part into this snow. You know, Doug, he plays a big part. He lets us know when it's coming, and that means so much, Doug, when you can give us a couple of days' notice to get saddled up and ready to ride, because it's we're pretty accurate anymore with your reports. Whatever you put down there, we're going to get it. And you know, this technology has really helped us. And I just like to say, Judge, that I was out with the men. I know they done a good job, because we were pulling each other in and out of the ditch, and they helped me and I'd help them. But we was all in the ditch sometime that day, and we were lucky, Frank, we didn't have to have a wrecker. You know, we were able to do it with our own equipment and get them back on the road. But Judge, me and Daniel and John Doug, we've been talking about this trail ride coming up, and we pretty much, Jeannie's got us set up for around the last part of March, first week of April with the trail, and I'd like to get the people that wants to get involved in it. Maybe we can have some meetings. Ken's got a lot of people over in his district, Chick and Leo and Jeff, and maybe we can, if Daniel could, set up a few meetings with us so we can know what we were wanting to do. We want to try to do it something like they do on the horse trail ride, do a one-day event and have dinner at the site so we could go ahead and feed them and get ready for the rest of the day. We'd like to start at Williamson and go into Virginia if we could on that ride. But it will be sometime in last April, 1st of May, won't it, Jeannie? What you got on the schedule, you and Daniel?
You need to make a note on that, so and you and Dan can work on it. And
Ken, if you get us some names where we can call them, and I've had a lot of people wanting to sit down and talk about it.
Call Willie Runyons.
Who is it?
Willie Runyons. I've got his phone number up at the house, but I ain't got it.
Well, you just call me, give it to me, and then I'll call it, or you can call him, tell him to call me. But,
we
Daniel,
bring-
if we could, we might have a meeting at the courthouse at Phelps one evening with the people that's interested. And, I know Chris got some over there, and I think it'd be a good event if we could, get that thing through.
We're gonna have to get permission from the property owners, and that's a pretty big job to do, but it could be done. We also, the county attorney's office is gonna have to advise us on the liability of, who assumes the liability, will be discussed at the meeting also, but a great idea, and it just have to work to make it happen.
Well, Judge, we've had a couple meetings with the coal company. It's probably 50% of the trails in their area, and they were gonna ride with us. And,
As long as it's under, they can probably do that as long as it's.
you know,
under
the
lease.
trails are already made. They're either on a
Under
gas
their-
company
under their
road
lease,
or a
if they go
coal
with us, I
haul
don't think
road.
it'd be a problem. That's me, but I'm no attorney.
Well, sometimes it's easier to get forgiveness than it is permission, so we're gonna try to work on it. That's all I have.
Good shape. Magistrate Harris.
Magistrate Dotson, it's good to know that you were in a salt truck pushing snow and plowing the roads and putting salt out, and that's a real benefit to the public. And I was not in a salt truck pushing snow and throwing salt, which was also a benefit to the public, because that would not have been a good situation for me to be behind the wheel of one of those big trucks. But I would like to say thank you to my road crew for the work that they did. They worked long hours, got up early in the morning, and they're out there before dark. And a lot of times they push the snow and clean the road, and then by the time people get up, it's already snowed back over again. So it's a lot of it's timing, and people are generally pretty understanding about the timing of the snow and what we can do. I mean, it's a big area to cover, and I appreciate all their hard work, and they put themselves in dangerous situations sometimes, and we don't always recognize them, and I do want them to know how much I appreciate it. Also, it shouldn't go without saying that our solid waste department, those guys get out there in the snow in dangerous conditions and freeze themselves to death on the back of the garbage trucks and slinging garbage, and I really appreciate the work that they do. Bobby, I know you got a good crew of men, drivers and packers, and people that work on the back of the trucks, and those guys really have some of the hardest jobs in the county, and we appreciate the work that they do for the people. The other thing, Judge, is we have historically in the past, Grants Branch Park has opened on March the 1st. It's closed December, January, and February, and we open again on March the 1st. And we've always had the park closed on Mondays so that it can be used through the weekend. And that's worked out well, except we do have quite a few holidays that fall on Mondays. And so I've had several people have requested this year if we would have a trial run of having the park open on Mondays as well and close the park on Wednesday. So it wouldn't be any additional cost to the county as far as labor or anything, but it would allow the people, the public, to use the park on those holidays, Labor
Go ahead
Day
and
and
try
Memorial
that on
Day.
a trial basis and see how it works out.
And so I'd like to make the motion that we set the days this year would be 6 days a week, with Wednesday being
Do we have a second?
the day
I
off.
have a second from Magistrate Anderson. Madam Clerk, have a roll call vote.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson?
Yes.
Magistrate Dotson? I'm sorry, Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, Judge.
Madam Treasurer.
Authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, and life insurance.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Magistrate Robinson, have a second, Magistrate Murphy. Madam Clerk, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris? Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Pass over on the next item, Authorize payment of expenditure approval list dated February 17th, 2014, and any other utility and telephone bills received before the checks are run.
Motion.
You have a motion, have a second, Mr. Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Abstain.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Pass over on the financial statements. As I was working on them yesterday afternoon, the server went down. They're upstairs working on it right now. Acknowledge receipt of the calendar year 2014 maximum salary authorizations required by KRS 64.5275 for the county judge executive, county clerk, county sheriff, and county jailer.
Have a motion. Have a motion, Mr. Murphy, have a second. Second. Have a roll call vote.
Mr. Anderson?
Under the table, go right ahead.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Just like 2 or 3 men, all right.
Madam Treasurer.
Authorize a check to Lillian Pearl Elliott, county court clerk,
If you turn them off, it's coming from that table underneath over here, works. But if you turn them off, if they don't need them, we can proceed and not have that noise. Madam Treasurer.
authorize a check to Lillian Pearl Elliott, county court clerk. She overpaid our 75% account in December of 2013 by transposed number on a report, so we owe back to the 75% account $5,151.94.
Have a motion, Mr. Murphy, second, Mr. Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Authorize a check in the amount of $1,800 to Frank K. Nall, PSC, for closing documents for Ashley Mariah Jones Robinson when received from NRCS.
That pass-through money. Have a motion. Motion, Mr. Robinson, to have a second. Have a second. Mr. Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
I have no further business, Judge.
Who was that for? Who was Frank for?
Mariah Jones.
Magistrate Harris, we need to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion pursuant to KRS 61-810F and G that we move into executive session to discuss specific personnel matters, pending litigation, and discussions between public agency and representatives of a business entity.
Madam Clerk, have a roll call vote, please.
I don't have a second.
Second.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Need a motion for the Pike County Fiscal Court to come out of closed session into open session. Have a motion by Magistrate Robinson, to have a second, Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Ready?
We're ready. Personnel.
Judge, I'm going to pinch hit for Judge Pruitt today. This is called on-the-job training. He's never done this, and when he puts on his Personnel Commissioner's hat. He will do this in the future, but I'm going to help him out today. Judge, we had one job posting, that being a Packer truck driver, solid waste area number 2 at Belcher, a 3H pay rate. There were 3 bidders, 2 of them all full-time, Judge. 2 of these bidders for that position had already cross-bid within the past 12 months and under the code were not eligible. In any event, the Commissioner of Solid Waste, Bobby Mullins, tried out all 3 drivers, I believe, and Harold Fraley, a full-time employee with the CDL, is a qualified employee, and we recommend him for that position. Next, Judge, we need to acknowledge the resignation of Sherry Newsom as of February 3rd, 2014. Sherry worked as a secretary in the coroner's office, but has some physical problems and had to resign from that position. Next, Judge, approval to hire Bradley G. Williamson in Sherry Newsom's place as full-time secretary for the Pike County Coroner's Office at a 0A rate of pay per year effective February 3, 2014. Next, approval to hire Randon K. Swindoll as a temporary loader for solid waste area number 2 at a 2H rate of pay effective February 10, 2014. Next, approval to hire Ryan Ward and Lester Stanley as seasonal employees for the Grants Ranch Park at a 2H rate of pay effective March 1st, 2014. And Grants Branch, as Magistrate Harris stated earlier, will reopen March the 1st, 2014. It is the first of the Great Pike County Parks to reopen. Next, Judge, we need, and I'm not sure that the court determined that, but approval to set a date to hire seasonal weed mowers. Last year it was April 1st, 2014, and in light of the activities at Hillbilly Days, the start of growing season during that month, that would be personnel's recommendation that we do hire those effective April the 1st, 2014. As always, Judge, those who employed last year will be given first opportunity for those positions. And Judge, we have, you have one other matter, but that's personnel's recommendations.
Correct. What I have hired Donnell Bart.
Judge, she'll want to do that next if you recommend.
I will make the motion. I will take the recommendation of personnel, and I'll make the motion that the personnel that has been recommended read by County Attorney Hayes and submitted, and it's my motion. Do I have a second? Second by Master Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson?
Yes.
Master Johnson? Master Murphy?
Yes.
Master Robinson?
Yes.
Master Dodson?
Yes.
Master Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. The next I have hired from my office Donetta Barker from Virgie, Kentucky. I think she lives in Pikeville now, but Virgie, as an administrative assistant. We're very short in our office. We lost an employee in the cutback, and we have this vacancy, and we tried to fast track this so we'd get some help, and we got many applications for this position. So that's who that we have that I hired, and the only thing I need from the courts, and I will make the motion and ask for a second on it, would be should make the same rate of pay, which was 3A, that position pays. Do I have a second? A second from Master Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson?
No.
Master Johnson? Master Murphy?
Yes.
Master Robinson?
Yes.
Master Dodson?
No.
Master Harris?
No.
And Judge Rutherford?
Jenny, would you call her? Pardon? Yes.
Motion carries.
Has any commissioner or director have any questions? I know that I wrote Jenny an email. We need to, or a memo. We need to have another staff meeting, and she's working on an agenda, and she will bring us together as soon as she can. But anybody have any pressing question today? If you don't, motion to adjourn. Got a motion? Got a second, Master Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Master Anderson? Mr. Anderson, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dotson, Mr. Harris, Judge Rutherford.
Yeah.